Hey everyone, I wanted to bring another another story, message, however you want to take it. So, been reading in Exodus a little bit, and with Moses being sent there to take the Israelites out of Egypt, I wanted to kind of draw a parallel for some of us and even the body of Christ. So, a lot of times, whenever someone is coming to Christ for either their first time or returning to Christ, there is many times a parallel drawn from Exodus of Israelites being taken out of Egypt. Well, there's a lot of different things I'll try to touch on with this video. Try not to make it too long. First, let me bring the the most basic and understanding way for Egypt and Israel. So, in the general synopsis of Egypt is basically where a lot of the pagan gods were that the Egyptians kind of ruled under, lived under, yada yada, and in Exodus, whenever God was taking the Israelites out of Egypt, it was completely different lifestyle change. They're used to living in this slavery thing, and basically having shelter and all this. But by being taken out of Egypt by God, He's effectively kind of moving them out of their lifestyle that they've had for like 400 years, I believe it was. But they had everything given to them basically, and but they also, they were never they were never really supposed to be there, even though God foretold it to Abraham. Well, with him taking the Israelites out of Egypt, it was a complete lifestyle change, like I said. And he was trying to teach them to basically depend on him for everything, rather than rather than them depend on themselves, etc., etc. But it was difficult for them to do this because the generation that was there, who knows how old they were, but they had lived there and that's all they knew. And it's one of the reasons why they cried out a lot of times, because they had a severe lack of faith in God, even though He had given, done all these miraculous signs in Egypt as He was taking them out. But also whenever they were in the wilderness, and He was trying to teach them, change the mindset, but it was difficult for them to do that. Now, let me bring the parallel here, is that whenever a lot of times us, whether you fell away or you were never in the church, but God's taking you out, He is taking you out to basically purify you. That's what I like to call the purification process, and that's what a lot of the laws were that were set in place by Moses and by the Father. It was a purification process, because all they knew was all the false gods, all the pagan gods, and all the knowledge that is in Egypt. The parallel is basically, everything that you knew before, and you're being removed from that. And the Father is trying to teach you and put you through that purification process, and many times, you're leaving everything behind that you knew better, even with family or friends. And I've heard of pastors before speaking about, it's Exodus and the New Testament wasn't written to us in this day, and that's technically true. But for those who understand and have that spiritual sight, or growing in that spiritual sight, and understanding how everything can parallel to your life, and also it can be a symbolicness of our life. Every single thing in the Bible, especially in the Old Testament, can be a parallel in our lives. And so whenever you get saved and the Father's trying to take you out of your previous stuff and teach you to depend on Him, you're effectively being removed from Egypt. And He's trying to remove you from all the wickedness and the stuff that was not of Him. Another parallel, and what this is much more of a macro view of things, is that for the past 40-ish years, the church has been in a place where it is not used to seeing the act of the Spirit, the miraculous moves of God, except for a select few times in history. And I forget where I heard it. I know one was on the documentary Modern Day Mystics, and other kind of places. And I've done my own research, and I'm like, okay, this is legit. This is actually true. The current, and again, I'm not flaming that generation. It's just the place and the state of which they were in at the time and had been in. The current generation that the Father's trying to bring into the promised land is basically the church living in and taking back the supernatural works of the Father that a lot of the other religions have, all the other spiritual things have, that's outside of the church realm. And that's basically the promised land. And we have all these giants that are in the promised land, and the Father said, it's already been given to you, you just have to take it. And a lot of the churches are refusing to go about simply because it doesn't match what they're used to. It doesn't match the paradigm. And I can foresee, and when I say I can foresee, whenever I found out about this, I even talked to the Father about this and did my own research and looked into things. I can see a possibility of that generation not making it into this time of which the Lord is trying to move us into. And we have some stories right now in the body of Christ of miraculous works and everything, but it's not on the front lines. It's not a very obvious thing, and a lot of it is just being downcast and called demonic, etc., just because it doesn't match up with the way things have operated the last several decades. So I go back to the people who are being removed from their Egypt because of them recently becoming saved or something along those lines. And the encouragement I can give to them is basically just to go with the Spirit, and if you have a fellowship, great. If you don't, then trust the Father. And I know that can be new to you because you've never done this before. So if I were you, I would ask the Lord to bring you a fellowship that you can grow with. That way you'll be taking the right steps and not going backwards. And I know a lot of the people who have been in the church realm for all their lives or a long period of time, and you're now leaving because of a lot of hypocrisy and all these issues that you've seen. And that could also be another parallel of leaving Egypt. and going into the area of which the Father has basically called you, you're gonna you're gonna deal with a lot of people who don't think it's godly, yada yada yada. But one thing that I consistently say is listen to the Father, and listen to the Father, but then also secondarily listen to humans, to your friends and colleagues and your friends. But if you feel that the Father is leading you a whole different route, then take that step of faith and do it. Because right now, with everything going on, we are seeing, it's the people I've talked to, they are seeing that the church is, a lot of the church is not correct, and they've been seeing hypocrisy. They've been seeing a lot of different things that is not biblical, and they're basically leaving, and they are effectively going into the promised land because it's not that's not where they're supposed to be. So I encourage you, continue with the Father, trust what He's saying, and if you have the intention of only going with the Father's plans are and not with man's plans for your life, then you'll be good, and the Father will respond to that accordingly. You just gotta make sure you trust in Him. But I hope this encouraged people and helped people. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, everyone, take care. Thank you for taking the time and watching this video. I want to encourage you to like and subscribe to this channel to help boost the ratings, and prayerfully consider supporting this channel. I personally believe that God is rising up the smaller ministries to do a big job in His kingdom, and this is not possible without support from His children, us. If you would, go to my website, www.thegothicmystic.com. There you'll find a variety of videos, my blog, services I offer, and ways to support. Again, thank you for your time.